It's a wrap! That was a horrible... I'm trying it again.
Am I leaving all this in?
Yeah, please do.
It's a wrap! No, that's better. Yeah, Mandalorian Season 3 wrapped. That's what I'm trying to get to here, as I choke on dry mouth and coffee. Good Lord. Hey everybody, welcome to the Resistance broadcast. If you're a first-time listener, hi. I'm John. Thank you for joining us today. It's our news show, so we're going to give our takes on the latest Star Wars news, and there's a lot of cool stuff that we're going to talk about today, including just sort of a cold open at the top here with James and Lacey, as always. The Mandalorian Season 3 has wrapped. It sort of started with the classic crew member who's probably a little green with the whole how sacred is Star Wars, and they were like, oh, look at this thing I got because I worked on this thing for a week. And then people, us included, get onto it and see it on Instagram, and it spreads like wildfire, and that's the first indication that it wrapped. And then Carl Weathers is like, I'll one-up you. I direct the show and I'm in it. It was a great season and I can't wait for people to see it. And then we're like, oh, it definitely did wrap. Okay. But it follows the pattern of the Mandalorian filming schedule, which is October-ish to March for the first two seasons. And here we are with Season 3 wrapping right at the end of March, which could mean we're seeing the Mandalorian later this year. Who knows? We'll see. But still exciting to know that Mandalorian Season 3 is done filming. We have no idea what we're in store for, but still exciting news just to kick off our show here today. Right, guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's weird. I don't know. This is kind of bad to say, but like I still kind of feel like there was some weirdness with were we getting Mandalorian Season 3? And
what do you mean?
Because they never really clarified about the whole like when Season 2 ended and then Book of Boba Fett was announced. And then I think Favreau came out and did say something like Season 3 is happening, but it was very like buried. It wasn't like Disney came out and they were like,
he said he wrote it.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a thing, but I still think there was like people who didn't see it and stuff. So I don't know. You mean
like where it was like Loki Season 2, you're like, oh, clearly we're getting a Season 2.
Yes. Yeah.
Got it.
Or even Bad Batch Season 2. Yeah. I mean, they put out that announcement officially like this is coming. And to this day, I still don't think there's been anything to that level that has said Mandalorian Season 3 is happening. But we're getting these things that says the season is finished wrapping. So we're like, okay, so I guess it is happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many do you think they're going? 4?
I think 4 sounds good, but I'm only basing that on Rebels
5.
being a successful series and
5.
feeling.
I feel like with these shows for some reason, I'm not saying the Mandalorian is going to fit in that frame, but like Stranger Things, I'm like ready for it to be over in a way. And
they've been dragging that out. Holy moly, dragging Stranger Things out.
Ozark, it's like Season 4. Part 2 coming up. I'm like, I'm ready to be done with this. So I feel like 4 is the magic number for these like 12 episode, 10 episode, 8 episode type of shows. But it's Star Wars, so I'll always take I'll take Season 7 of The Mandalorian if it's good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like 4 has been the magic number with these types of shows. But this is the first Star Wars live action show, so we'll see.
And another thing, it's don't always forget too that there's that argument of like, do you not? If people are like, what, you want it to canceled? You don't want any more Mandalorian? It's like, well, I'm okay with Mandalorian ending and then doing something else. Like we could get a 7th or an 8th season of Mandalorian, or we could get 1 or 2 seasons of this thing, whatever it is.
Yeah, like there's fans who... James, we were in the same shirt today?
I was just about to say that. Are you both wearing Star Wars news now? I didn't get one. How are we still here?
Yeah.
That's not that kind of show, John. Jeez. I don't want to show my jacked fish chest tattoo. I want to wait till Celebration to show that off. So listen, it's like people who love the Skywalker saga, which I still have a hard time calling it that because it was kind of like made up at the end there. But don't want episode 10. They're like, I love those. Doesn't mean I, don't like them, but I was ready to move on. And maybe that's how we're going to feel after 4 seasons of The Mandalorian. Maybe it's how we're going to feel after 3 seasons. But either way, Season 3 done. Very excited for that to come out. But we got some other stuff to talk about that's coming a lot sooner. So James, why don't you kick us off with this week's Resistance Report, as Tarkin would say.
It's the resistance.
All right. Well, this came as a kind of a surprise last week, towards the end of last week, that it seemed like we were all set to watch that first episode of Kenobi on this very specific night. It's a Wednesday night, or it's a Tuesday night, but it was Wednesday when they normally release. So we're all very excited because it was leading into Celebration and all this. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it feels like they just decided to drop this bomb on us, right? But it was weird because it was Ewan McGregor actually in a video, like announcing this. Didn't have anything on the surface, didn't have anything to do with Celebration, but he says, hey, we're going to move the release from Wednesday to Friday now. And we're going to make up for that pushback by giving you 2 episodes on the first day of release. And then also, I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, John, because there was a little bit of back and forth, but then the show returns to a regular Wednesday release after that point. So, I don't know. I guess let's just get started right here, John. I'm already talking to you. What are your thoughts on the show moving back a couple days, getting 2 episodes? Kind of the mix up maybe with the dates after that, and what was this cool to see Ewan?
And this is not, I'm not being jokey here. When the video first popped on my Twitter feed, the way he was standing, I thought it was a promotional ad for that Expedia commercial he does. So I was about to keep going, and then I was like, wait, that's Star Wars account. But yeah, so Friday, May 27th. So by June 1st, we're going to be halfway done with Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is in a span of 4 or 5 days, we're going to be halfway done with this show. That's why I've been really embracing the, let's slow burn this and let's enjoy it and take our time. But Star Wars is nah, you're getting a third of that show in one day. It's going to be during our big event. A bunch of you are going to be
half the show in 5 days.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So that's what I said, right? No?
You did, but it was worded a little weird. So 3 full episodes, which is half the series, it is in less than a week. Yeah. 5 days.
Yeah. Yeah. But a bunch of us, and maybe us, who knows, are going to be watching it with big groups. I really don't know. Maybe we'll just be in our room. I have no idea what we're going to do. But the fact that we're getting the first 2 episodes is pretty exciting, but also makes me a little nervous because the chaos that can be at Celebration, I'm going to need to, when I get back to my room later that night, I'm going to need to, watch it again and, really, absorb it, because it's just going to be such madness. But I'm really excited, and the 2-day thing does not bother me at all. I'm sure it just is in conjunction with the fact that there's, Moon Knight or something else playing or opening that Wednesday, and so it's not a big deal whatsoever. So bring it on. I'm excited. But it makes me a little sad that this show is probably going to come and go quicker than I thought it was, which I already thought it was going to come and go quickly. Now it's just in the span of less than a week, half of it's going to be done. And then we're going to be, June 22nd, show's over. And that's it, or whatever that date is. So, if I did my math right, so it's going to be a little bittersweet, but I'm really excited to see let's get Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen together on these late night shows. I want to just Ewan McGregor and just Hayden, but I think having both of them would be really cool to see making the rounds, and I think it would create a lot more buzz if it's Darth Vader and Obi-Wan together on the couch on Kimmel or something, or Colbert. Those are 2 big Star Wars fans, so it's making it all more real. It's making it all more exciting. So let the countdown resume. But Obi-Wan Kenobi is gonna be here, and we're gonna be together watching it, the first 2 episodes. So very cool.
Yeah, Lacey, were you excited to hear this, or were you kind of hoping that it would happen that day? I know we've made a lot of tentative plans around how that was going to roll out. We're like, oh well, this is the night that we're going to watch it, so that'll be cool. But now all of a sudden it's that got thrown away. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I hope, to whatever people in the world believe in, that I age as gracefully as Ewan McGregor does, because he looks amazing. I would say he looks better than he did when he was younger, but that's just me. Anyway.
It's like me.
I digress. So Ewan changing, well, he didn't change the date. Disney changed the date. It's not surprising. I think compared to what we're used to with regular cable, where they have locked in premieres and they can't move stuff around, the streaming services have allowed for that to change. And it happens all the time. Especially, I mean, Disney did it with Loki, where they bumped it up and they moved it on to a Wednesday from a Friday and like all this other stuff. So I'm not surprised that they moved things around, especially with the way that it's premiering on the week of Celebration. I guarantee they want a room packed with Star Wars fans at Star Wars Celebration to maybe show the first episode before it premieres the next day. They have that hype that they want as a media company. They want that hype with fans. And now they're going to get it. And they're going to get it in a way that they can show the episode and then it comes out the next day anyway. So if it gets spoiled or someone leaks something, they don't have to worry about it because it's already been shown to 5,000 people. The Anaheim kind of big panel room that they have at the convention center holds like 5,000 people. So you're going to show probably that many people this episode, if not both episodes. So it's not going to matter if they move it back or not. I think it also allows for them to do a little hype for the show during Celebration. Whereas before, I know we talked off air about it, where it was kind of just a bummer that it was premiering before Celebration because we wouldn't get to watch it in kind of the panel setting with other Star Wars fans. We felt like maybe they wouldn't even kind of talk about it or need to talk about it at the show because it's already out. Whereas now, because it's coming out before it airs, they're going to do a little hype for it, which is really exciting. And like John, I hope we see Hayden and Ewan together as much as possible because we keep getting all these interviews of like them talking about each other. And it's kind of like this weird romantic comedy where you just want them to meet. Like, you know that they're destined to be together, but they're never in the same room or like they're like missing each other. But like, obviously, a wonderful friendship.
Sleepless in Mos Espa.
Yeah.
But,
I am hyped, though. I'm like super excited. And I think every day we get closer to Celebration, it's becoming more real. So the fact that Ewan even said, like, hey, Star Wars fans, I was like, oh my God, he's going to say this to a room of people in like probably 2 months.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that guy James Baney made that shirt. I'm gonna mention it.
Exactly. What is funny,
real quick, though,
oh, go ahead.
James, are either of you nervous about like the element of watching this for the first time in a gigantic room where sometimes even in a movie theater it can be a little like, what? I just missed that because everyone was yelling. Like if it's 1,000 people or something.
No, it is a completely different feeling when you're watching. Like even in past celebrations, they've had the movies playing certain nights. Like you can go watch the movie with a group of people.
But we've seen all of those. This is a first watch.
But it's on demand, John. You can go back and watch it right when you walk out of the room.
Yeah. Here's the thing, John.
Like the next day.
I don't think you get where I'm getting
I understand.
Here.
Yeah, I understand what.
I'm not worried about it. I know I'm going to watch it again.
People,
I like the energy more than am I going to miss an Easter egg?
Yeah. What some people think.
I don't mean Easter eggs.
Oh my goodness, guys. I think
Go ahead, James.
What you're trying to say is that most people tend to have a problem with going to a movie theater because people are talking or whatever through the thing. But I think when people describe that situation, they're talking about because they don't want to go on Friday because there's a lot of people. So they try to go on Tuesday when it's the cheap night and everybody's already seen it. And there's a bunch of people and they're on their phones and they're talking through it because they've already seen it or whatever. But when you go see a movie like opening night or midnight or anything like that, nobody's talking. Like it's quiet and everybody's there like totally for the scene. And when something's happening and somebody's talking on screen, everybody like cheers and then they like zip down because everybody wants to hear it. That energy is something that you can't ever get. If you're at Celebration, it's going to be a once in a lifetime event. And everybody's there. Nobody's seen it. It would totally be like this crazy thing that it would be like seeing the trailer for the first time.
Force Awakens 2015 is my favorite memory of all time.
I know, but like John,
like
me and you watched the trailer in a group of people, and we weren't like, "What was that?" Like we it's not like we didn't hear Palpatine laughing or something, but it was just like a crazy overwhelming.
John, you don't have to go. If there's a screening, you don't have to go. You can stand outside. James and I will go.
Oh, first of all, only Sith deal in absolutes. Okay, this isn't all or nothing. I just said it makes me a little nervous that I'm not going to be able to, on my first watch, fully absorb everything because people are going to be cheering every time something happens and stuff.
I'm that person. I'm going to be cheering every time something happens.
Yeah, I don't like that. But
don't sit with me then.
I won't.
Yeah, I don't get you. You're saying you would rather watch this alone in the room?
I don't know, is what I'm saying. I don't know how I feel about it.
I think you need to let that soak in for a minute and then be like, is really that experience worth trading what you're going to get?
I guarantee, hands down, John's going to walk out of that panel if there's a screening and go, man, I am so glad I went to that. Wow, that was an awesome experience.
This is the problem with saying anything ever, is that people are like, what? You're crazy, or blah, blah, blah. It's just like, hey, just ringing a little bell here, just slightly in the distance. It's like, but I feel a little bit like this.
To us, this feels
like this.
This feels like you saying, like, I don't know if I'm going to go see Star Wars in a movie theater. I'm just going to wait till it comes out on demand or something. It's like...
That's not.
A little bit.
A movie theater has 200 people in it. You're talking about a room that has 5,000 people in it.
It's not going to be any different.
Sure it is. It's like watching a movie in Madison Square Garden. It's going to be bananas.
That's the other thing that I don't think people realize, because the past two celebrations haven't had big rooms. I mean, Chicago had a pretty big one, but like this is 5,000. It's huge. It's like a huge like bowl.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think the amount of people is going to change how individuals react.
I don't think so either.
At the 200 person level, I don't think it's going to change like how much more sound there is or something.
It could be 100,000 people or 5 people. I'm gonna have a great time.
Reacting. A crowd reacts.
One person believes in you.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I thought the biggest surprise to come out of this was the fact that they also said they were going to do 2 episodes.
Yeah, that was surprising.
It kind of didn't surprise me that they were like, oh, we're actually airing this episode before Celebration. I was like, oh, that's a little strange, but okay, I kind of get it. And then them saying, never mind, we're going to make it so that it's like during or while people are at Celebration, and maybe there could be something cool or some tie with that. Like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. But the surprise to me was what they said they were going to drop 2 episodes. It's like, I don't particularly know why.
The first episode is 26 minutes long, and it's Obi-Wan digging through sand.
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
Looking for those black melons.
It could also be that Vader shows up in the second episode and they're like, do we want to do this? You know what I mean? Do we want to like, if we're going to show this to Celebration, to Star Wars fans, let's show them the moment. You know what I mean? The big one. So maybe there was a little bit of a thing there. Maybe I'm putting too much faith in their like, we got to give them what they want. There's probably a very specific like, oh, well, this other Marvel show is going to come out that Wednesday, so we got to move these up 6 days.
You know what it honestly is? If they premiere it at Celebration, that is your biggest diehard fans that aren't going to watch that premiere. They're losing those numbers at the premiere for their record-setting numbers. So they put 2 episodes, which will drive people to go watch it even more, which will give them the good numbers for the watch.
Actually, what I was going to say was we did the same thing for Book of Boba Fett. If you remember, they said the first week watches. And we were like, well, there was 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett in the first week. Or 3. Remember how we figured that out? I forget how that worked out or whatever. Or no, it was Mandalorian was what it was. Season 1 of Mandalorian did like 2 episodes and then 2 episodes on Wednesday and then 1 on Friday.
That was because it opened the same week as Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, but anyway,
or it didn't not opened. It's like last episode or something or something like that was around.
Yeah, Disney Plus came out on a Wednesday, and then there was an episode on Friday, and then there was another episode the following Wednesday. So that was 3 in a week, which meant that the ratings were higher. So anyway, this would be very similar. Within a 1 week time span, there would be 3 episodes, so they could say, 3 episodes. Well, anyway, it doesn't really matter. We're talking too specific.
I wonder like how they like aesthetically or design wise it's going to look, because all we're used to is the Mandalorian style, which the Boba Fett series adopted in terms of chapter 1 and that font and the credits with song that show's theme song and the concept art. I know it's not going to be that because that was like Favreau's thing. He wanted to do that, but I wonder if it's going to be a thing where this has credits more like the Star Wars movies where it's like da da da, or they're gonna do like the new John Williams theme at the end of each episode. Like that stuff, I'm really curious about.
I think that's what they're gonna do.
Because this is going to be our first look at other live action Star Wars stuff. Because Book of Boba Fett was a different series, but it's the same palette, exactly same palette. So this is going to be like, that makes me a little excited too, because there's like just this wonderment of like what's the presentation going to be like on Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that gets me even more excited because it just makes me think of like, you see that Lucasfilm logo and then you don't know what's coming next.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, I know you mentioned earlier that it's going to be exciting when we see Ewan and Hayden both on the circuit, and you specifically called out Jimmy Kimmel. Let's move on to our next story here, because Donald Glover, another Star Wars actor, was recently on Jimmy Kimmel, and he talked a lot, about like his band and his show Atlanta, and a little bit about the Will Smith stuff, which is kind of interesting that, even he has to say something about it. But it was interesting that right at like the tail end of the interview, Jimmy Kimmel, who I believe is a core Star Wars fan, I really think and I feel like this particular thing and a lot of the stuff that he does is like less scripted. Even if he knows in his head he's going to ask it, I don't know that people always know.
He's the one that was doing the Qui-Gon thing, right? Where Qui-Gon was like, nah, no, what? Yeah, which to be honest with you, if there's going to be like a Star Wars question like on a late night show like that, I think it is going to be Jimmy Kimmel, because I feel like he gets the license because it's ABC or whatever. Yeah.
But anyway, he dropped this bomb at the end that was totally like out of nowhere, and it felt like it was just off his own, like, I'm trying to get information, I'm trying to get a thing here, a headline. But he goes, and you're doing a Lando show with Disney. And, Donald Glover's like, am I? And they go in this back and forth where he's kind of like moving around it, but he never denies it and he never confirms it. But I think more importantly, he doesn't deny it. So,
because he would have said no if he wasn't doing it.
I think so too. And he said, I've got a lot of things that I'm working on. I like to blossom and then have those things all kind of come out at the same time. So it seems like I could be crazy, but it seems like maybe he's working on the music for Lando as well, because in this interview, he said, are you doing Childish Gambino stuff? He's like, no, I'm working on, and then he later says, I want all my stuff to come out at the same time. Like, what does that mean? You want your Lando project to drop the same time your Childish Gambino or your Atlanta series comes out? That doesn't make sense. So I think he's working on music.
He's buddies with Ludwig.
With Lando, the show, which he's in, and it's going to make it all his like thing, and he's going to like really own it. So now I'm back on board with, I think like this Lando thing is interesting and whatever. It's a little hearsay, but I'm going to jump over to you, Lacey. Your thoughts on this particular interview and I guess Lando as a whole.
Well, I love Childish Gambino. He's like one of my top artists. He's on my Spotify like nonstop all the time. So if he makes an album for Lando, I'm gonna lose it because it's gonna be so awesome. And like it would just be so good. That being said, yeah, I think I agree with you, James. He would have definitely said no if he wasn't doing this. Like, celebs don't want to be tied to stuff that they're not doing. They don't want to give free press to things that they're not doing, where people are like, oh, are they, aren't they? They'd be like, no, I'm not. I have nothing to do with that. I'm trying to think of an example where someone ever said no and they were. I guess Andrew Garfield kept saying no to everyone. He just straight up lied to everybody. So that's an example where that happened.
Yeah.
But generally speaking,
yeah, he was not in Tick Tick Boom, which is weird.
No, oh yeah, that's it. No, but I remember all the interviews. He's like, absolutely not, no. And then I saw something recently. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was kind of a viral video where this guy from BBC One or something was like, I knew you were in it because Tom Holland gave it away. And Andrew Garfield was like, what? And then they like showed the video and Tom Holland was like, yeah, you were on set that day. I wasn't there. And Zendaya was like, what? Yeah. Like he totally gives it away. It's so funny. Anyway, I digress. I feel like this is one of those projects that we've talked about here on the show a couple times where we're like, what's the deal with that? Because when the Disney Investor Day happened, when they showed the Millennium Falcon on the screen, especially the older version of it,
yeah,
the three of us were like, what? Like we all like froze because we were like, is this the moment that we've been waiting for. Are they actually going to do this? And now, while we're so happy it's a Lando series, we can't wait to watch it. We hope it's going to happen. There was this moment that all three of us were just like, is this really a Solo thing? Is that happening? And I know some people have said that maybe that's going to lead into a Solo thing. What is it going to look like? But yeah, no, I got from this interview that he's being a little sneaky. And he's a big Star Wars fan himself. And he was perfect as Lando. So I can't wait to hear more, because it was very weird when they announced this and he wasn't tied to it. And all they had was the writer. And I don't even know if the writer's still doing it. They haven't really given any updates about it. But I'm assuming when Celebration rolls around, they've got to give an update about this, right? Like, they have to. Because they haven't given updates about many things that they listed that day. And as we all know, they have, quote, 11 series in the works. They got to have some updates on stuff. And I think this is one of the things that hopefully... I would love it if they brought him out on stage and they announced at Celebration that he's doing it. And like, it's going to be this big, cool thing.
For sure. I mean, Donald Glover definitely was the Ewan McGregor of their Star Wars project. Like, say what you will about the prequels, Ewan McGregor was really great, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he got, they continued his story here. It's like, I feel the same way. Like, say what you will about Solo. I think most people, even who didn't like the movie, were like, Donald Glover, though, it was hard to deny. He was
great.
How good he was. But John, what are your thoughts on him possibly being a part of this project officially?
Kind of.
Well, I don't think anyone truly in their heart believed this was going to be some sort of Lando series that takes place after Rise of Skywalker with an 84-year-old Billy D. Williams.
Did someone think that?
I think people were saying like, oh, it might be one of those where like Godfather 2, where it's like he's an older guy and then they flash back to him as a younger guy. And
sure,
this was either going to be, it's honestly, it's almost like, to a lesser degree because of the legacy of Ewan McGregor with Star Wars now, it's that guy or it's not happening. Like, so when people were like, breaking news, Ewan McGregor's cast as Obi-Wan, I'm like, oh, really? Okay.
You don't say.
Just make, good. Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things. So, but, so it's, I don't know. There's not much to say about it, really. It's just like that first confirmation, because like we've been saying, when we did the State of Star Wars, we're like, what's going on with that Lando thing? Because they haven't talked about it at all since December of 2020. And granted, he didn't confirm it or anything. He addressed it, and his body language, like he kind of did that, like, oh, I'm nervous, and he went like away a little bit, and like, but he said, am I? But like, I agree with Lacey. Like, I don't think it's one of those things, especially with how Star Wars fans are, that you mess around too much. And like, if it was definitely not a thing, he would have been like, no, man. He's like, I love doing that, but I'm not coming back as Lando. So I think that's, if you read through the lines, he's definitely confirming it there. I am really excited about it because there's a lot of things they can do with Lando in this era, which, as we know, there's how much time between A New Hope and Empire? Is it 3 years?
New Hope and Empire? Yes.
Yeah. So you're working with 13 years of time between Solo and when we meet Billy D. Williams, Lando, and Empire Strikes Back. There's a lot they can do there. Now, I think this was called, I could be wrong, one of those special event series or limited series, but maybe not. Maybe it's a multiple season thing. But they have a 13-year stretch to work with, which is more than a lot of these shows that they're trying to wedge into existing timelines. So they can do a lot of things and bring in a lot of people into this show. We're going to talk more about it on Thursday, but I am really, really excited that we're getting this sort of confirmation. I didn't think about the music thing, though. That is really interesting to me, because that made me think of like how like Prince did the music for like the Batman movie and stuff. It's just like off the beaten path a little, and I could see a Lando series not having your conventional Star Wars classical music, because kind of every time we saw him, like at the end of the movie, there was a different type of vibe playing. And in the Sabacc lounge, when he was playing, there was like a different type of vibe. So, and he's got his, his way about him, and he's got his little vlog and stuff. It's going to be definitely a show that they can Lord and Miller the hell out of it. Now, whether they get involved or not, I don't know. But you can get a little weird with the Lando series. So I'm excited to see what this turns into. But he's such a talented guy, Donald Glover. And the fact that he's still on board wipes away all that stuff where people are like, oh, he was embarrassed by Solo, or he doesn't want to even go touch that again or stuff. It's like, nope, you're wrong, actually. Yeah. So anytime an actor wants to be involved in Star Wars still, because he was a fan going into Solo, I'm glad he's not one of those actors that got jaded by it. I don't want to say it, but Oscar Isaac kind of did. He was a super fan. His uncle got him into it, and blah, blah, blah. And then he, on his way out, he's like, screw this. Glover is maybe just as big of a star as Oscar Isaac, in my opinion, and he's gung-ho, and he feels like he still seems excited about it, and I can't wait to hear more from him about it and learn who else is going to be in this sort of thing. But we'll start speculating maybe on Thursday on that.
Yeah, it definitely was not part of Disney. I mean, it could have technically been one of those little subtle things, but I don't think it was part of Disney's marketing at this point to get ready for Lando, to have him, he's on the show, let's give a little plug for this or anything like that. But I thought it was interesting in just the way that it got me excited and back on board thinking about what could this project be. And now we're talking about that instead of Moon Knight, or whatever, there's always this it just kind of chips in a little bit at the conversation, and Star Wars always got to find its way into the water jug at work, or whatever that's called. What do they call that?
Water cooler?
Water cooler, yeah. Water cooler. Yeah, I couldn't think of what it was called.
James's work, they just have one jug on the counter and they all pass it back and forth.
Kind of, yeah. No, no, but speaking of the marketing of this too, I made a joke last week about how EW had 3 good articles and they decided to roll with 5.
Are we on 6 now?
Yeah, they decided. Another little piece of information that we didn't put out before is Hayden Christensen's particular point of view on returning to the character of Darth Vader, and in his words, how it felt very natural and meaningful to him. And it was kind of interesting to see the opposite look of how he got to see Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi again on set, whereas in the previous weeks we heard Ewan's oh my gosh, I was standing there and everybody was awestruck, and then I turn around and Hayden walks around the corner. So it's okay, cool. So now we're seeing the opposite side of it, and I like the way that they're kind of marketing that as Team Ewan, Team Hayden, different points of view on this whole thing. So I think it's kind of smart that EW decided to roll it out like this, even though I kind of joked that they're stretching things out. John, what were your thoughts when you read this particular article on Hayden's point of view?
It's a happy feeling because, and this is retreading some stuff I've said, but anytime his name comes up in Returning to Star Wars, it's just the same thing comes to my mind, which is the fact that, he got slammed pretty hard for the prequels. And I had liked stuff he was in before Attack of the Clones. There was this movie called Life is a House where he plays this estranged teenager who's kind of rebelling against his divorced parents, and he reunites with his father, who's Kevin Kline, and he did an amazing job. So everyone was super hyped that he, off of that, it wasn't the most successful movie, but his performance was lauded pretty highly. Mm-hmm. And I think people, including critics, were this kid's going to be so good as Anakin Skywalker and stuff. And then Attack of the Clones comes out, and because of how George Lucas wanted to write it, he had a very pulpy sort of way and sort of purposely campy in well, at least he says that. But either way, he got pretty knocked for it, Hayden, and then a little lesser for Revenge of the Sith. But, time changes everything, including perspective on stuff, and also the handing of the baton to future generations, like we talk about, the kids who were 7 watching Revenge of the Sith are now, in their early 20s or mid 20s blogging about, and they're the voices, and they're also the podcasters and stuff like that. And they're no, these were our movies and that's our guy. And then, we feel the same way. And I just again, this is a little similar to the Donald Glover thing, but on a bigger, more meaningful scale, because this is a guy who could have been screw that, I went through hell for a long time and my career almost collapsed because of it. I'm not going anywhere near Star Wars. And this guy's like, no, give me another shot at this thing. Or not even another shot, but let's do this again. And he's got his buddy Ewan. So it's all good vibes about it. And what's interesting is him just talking about, I feel it's right that I'm taking this next step with this character that I feel I know so well now, because he really did get to play both Anakin and Vader. Vader to a lesser extent in the way we know Vader, but he can sort of, if they're going to do that thing where it's that struggle we saw in the comics internally, he can really channel both of those versions of the character he played in one spot. Whereas before he had to be Anakin and like, be angry, Anakin, so we can show everybody what you're going to turn into. And then be very Darth Vader-y when you're Darth Vader. Now he could like blend the two. And I'm really excited to see him do that. But also I'm just happy for the guy. He seems like one of the nicest guys in a business that we've seen recently is full of just a lot of madness. And I'm just rooting so hard for him. And I'm really excited to see what he's going to do, because between Life of the House, Shattered Glass, movies like that, I think we're going to see more of that type of caliber performance from Hayden Christensen in Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I'm rooting for him. I'm excited for him. It's sort of like a redemption, even though a lot of people say like he doesn't need redemption. He was always great. I think for certain aspects of the optics of his past performances, this is sort of a redemption for him in a way. And it's cool because he's 40 or something like that, 40, 41, and he's playing a 32-year-old version. Yeah. And he's playing like a 32-year-old version of Darth Vader, which when he did Revenge of the Sith, he was more of exactly the age that Anakin was. So and now he has to like play a little bit younger. But
it's weird, too,
way,
because Vader's 45 when he dies.
Yeah, I know. And you think he's older. Because he's like
you would
by,
imagine him to be older, but yeah,
because I think Sebastian Shaw was like in his 60s or something. Like George Lucas didn't exactly have that all figured out. But either way, I'm really happy for this guy, and I'm rooting so hard for him. And I think Deborah Chow's going to get the best out of him, and hopefully the writers. I know that they passed the batons around, and the Writers Guild thing came out where they listed, this person, then this person did, and this person did it, then this person. I hope they put a good package together for him to knock it out of the park.
Absolutely. So, Lacey, what were your thoughts when you read this article? Anything particular pop out that's like new information, or was it just nice to hear Hayden talk about it?
It's just nice to hear Hayden talk about his experiences, and it made me very quickly want a gallery series about Kenobi, like more than the actual show itself, I would say, because I want to see those moments where they get to see each other for the first time, that they get to be on set together, to see people's reaction when he's, Vader again, because him and Ewan both talk about in their different interviews about that moment when they see each other again for the first time all in costume. And he even brings it up saying that like, it's something he'll always treasure. He'll always remember it when he saw Ewan for the first time as Obi-Wan. So it's just this momentous occasion. And part of me is like, please don't be building it up too much. But from what they say, it's like this epic thing, and I can't wait to see it. But just hearing him talk about how he loved and loves working on Star Wars, that it's just a different type of movie and experience, show in this case, and that he talks about the energy that comes along with it, which we were talking about earlier with the Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of panel screening type thing. There's nothing better than the energy that comes from Star Wars fans, especially when they're really excited about something. Now, I know that there's energies that can come from them in a negative light, but when they're in a good mood and they're having a great time, it's like you can like feel it. It's like you're like tingling with excitement with everybody that loves Star Wars. So I'm sure he feels the same way anytime he goes to a con and he's taking pictures with people and signing autographs. And like John says, he's having this moment where he's seeing the people that he changed their life for being Anakin, that he is their favorite Jedi, that they grew up with him as their Star Wars movies. And I'm just so happy that he's having those experiences. And I think that it's really cool that he's going to get to play this part of Vader. Because they've hinted at it here and there, Deborah Chow too, that this Vader's like a little bit different than the one you see in A New Hope, but he's still a little bit Anakin. So it's going to be very interesting. And I'm really glad that they had him come back, because they could have picked anybody to wear the suit and walk around as Vader, but the fact that it's Hayden is just like such a good feeling, and I can't wait to to see him in action.
Yeah,
We're gonna see Vader fighting with that mask off or something. It's gonna be nuts.
It's gonna be nuts. Yeah,
I think we're gonna have to see him with his mask off and stuff. But it was interesting that you said, John, that you think he's a good guy, because I was like, it's kind of funny. I feel like sometimes when I see him in interviews, he reminds me of not the creepy, but like the sweet Anakin that's with Padme.
Yeah.
Like where
the
he's
young
actually,
one.
Yeah, but not like
innocent.
when he's being creepy.
No,
not
like innocent
those
Anakin.
moments,
Yeah.
but yeah. But the
when he
ones
does
where
this look?
yeah.
Weird.
When somebody's just trying to eat their dinner and he like starts picking it up.
She's like, stop that. He's like,
I hate
stop
it.
what?
Yeah.
That's directing and writing there, guys. That's not Hayden.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
Don't look at me like that.
No, very very excited. I think for the press run, I'm excited to see him actually. He's doing these interviews, but I'm excited to see him actually get on a TV show or other interviews where he's doing Good Morning America or something like that, and they're bringing him on to talk about the time that he was filming this and stuff. So I'm excited. There was also something else you mentioned too, Lacey, that I wanted to touch on, and it was you said you were excited for the gallery, and I was like, oh yeah, it almost feels like every episode of the gallery could be the one episode that we were excited to see, like Mark Hamill return. You know how they like kind of saved that?
No, don't do that to me, James.
Well, I'm just saying, like they could do one that was, all based on the show and the production and all this other stuff, and then they could do another one or somehow separate that as the.
I'm only saying that because
like,
they held off on
it.
Mark, and we were waiting for it, and then they held off on it, and I was like, but where's Mark?
But it also made me wonder then, what surprises does this show have? If that is the pitch, the that's to get you in, then what surprises does the show have? Or is it just delivering on the promise? Is it going to deliver on the promise, or are we going to see things in this show that's like, the Cad Banes and stuff that like actually are still like, oh wow, I did not think they were going there, and now I can't believe that I never 10 years ago would have ever thought I'd be seeing so and so and so and so and so and so all on screen together. This is nuts. Like, where are the surprises in Kenobi?
It would have to be Liam Neeson, right?
Well, yeah, that's gonna be the non-surprise surprise. Yeah.
I mean, that's fair.
But if we're gonna do the whole, hey, let's all get in a room and do this, like all these fans of Celebration, like you got to kind of hope a little bit that it's Liam Neeson's his moment is in one of those 2 episodes, because that place is gonna pop.
They're not going to give that away.
Well, they're not giving it away.
Because then
Give
people
that
are...
away.
Well, because if giving it away in the sense that it doesn't air until the next day, they're not going to have Liam Neeson show up, and then for all the fans that aren't at Celebration, that the episode hasn't aired yet.
Oh, that thing is not in conjunction with it coming out?
It's before. Like, if they were to show it, they would show it probably before.
Oh.
Right? They wouldn't show it after it airs. That would be pointless for the event.
I thought it was like a simultaneous thing, like, it's midnight, let's go to the thing.
I mean, it could be. I'm thinking, like, marketing-wise, why wouldn't you show
Kathleen
it?
Kennedy logs into her Disney Plus account. She's like, all right, ready, guys?
Like, they haven't announced anything, but marketing-wise, why wouldn't they show it before it airs?
No,
That's why they pushed it back.
That didn't even cross my mind. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah,
did they put a timeout for it?
I think Lacey
like
and I are somewhat assuming that they would have taken the original air date that happened before Celebration and moved it not so that we would all go to this thing at midnight, but that they could during the day or a few hours before or that evening or something along those lines would be able to show it to the Celebration fans. And even if it leaked, it would only like leak a couple hours before.
4 hours,
most people are going to be like, oh, well, I know Star Wars Celebration's going on. Apparently they're getting to see it. I'm staying off Twitter until midnight. I don't think it would be that big of a deal, especially since, at midnight they're going to show you those first 2 episodes. They also could show you the first episode and then at like midnight also have the second episode up. So after everybody's left, then that second episode isn't spoiled.
I'm just saying... what he was saying about Qui-Gon, if they were to do a panel, they're not going to bring Qui-Gon on because they don't want to spoil that for everybody else that hasn't seen the show yet.
Yeah.
No,
I wish they would, but they won't.
I agree with that. But it's kind of like, if this is confirmed, I guess I'm confused on the timing of it, of when they're doing.
It's Friday.
Like, is this?
Yeah. So Thursday night at midnight is when the episodes will be live for everybody.
Right.
And that's
So when
pushed
is
from-
this?
They pushed
Do we
it
know
from
when the
Wednesday.
screening is?
We don't know if there's a screening.
We don't know if there's a screening.
Oh, so this was all fugazi. It's all made up for now.
Yes, but why would they
Yes.
move the date, John, if they weren't going to do something?
Our presumption is that it was going to air Tuesday night or on Wednesday day, but that's all before Celebration. So they moved it specifically so that they could do something not at midnight, but during Celebration.
I don't agree with that.
Thursday or Thursday evening. Okay.
Disney's not thinking about 20,000 people and how to make something special for them. They're thinking about how are we going to get the most people to watch this thing, and they moved it because Moon Knight or something is going to be also on Wednesday. They're not. That's why they.
I completely disagree with you.
Okay, I mean,
Moon Knight will be
100%.
done,
you think,
but
you
it'll
think
be
Disney
another
cares more
Disney
about 10
series,
million
probably.
people or 20,000 people at an event?
They want that moment to show Ewan going out on stage at Celebration with all the fans. They still show all that stuff.
And they can do that on Friday.
John, here's my question for you. If that wasn't the case, why would they show the Force Awakens trailer to a group of 5,000 people, and why would the Disney stock shoot up $6 billion?
Trailer.
Right, but this is a show that's coming out.
Yeah, this is
6
actual
hours later.
content. They didn't show The Force Awakens ahead of its release. They showed a trailer.
But they still had a panel with all
and then the
people
trailer
that are in
came
the
out.
show.
I was in Disney. Then the trailer came out like 30 seconds later on the
How
internet.
about this? They showed what was it, 7 or 10 minutes of Mandalorian.
Mando.
Yeah. Long before the show came out.
Like 6 months.
Yeah. So my thing is at what point are they not just able to show more content, considering that same content is public a few hours later, like 4 hours later?
I'm not arguing with you saying that they won't show it early to fans at Celebration. They might. I'm just saying Disney moved it for bigger reasons than one fan event.
Celebration. 100% Celebration. That's why it got moved.
I mean, to be honest, they could have put any trailer out at any point, but it seems like they waited for Celebration to drop a trailer. So there probably could have been a statistical better place to put a trailer, but they put the trailer out.
How many times are you going to say the word trailer?
John,
until you get it.
Well, yeah, but you're comparing a trailer, which is a marketing piece, to an actual show.
Which is still a marketing piece.
I'm saying, okay, picture...
What?
It's a marketing piece for Disney Plus. They want people to get on Disney Plus.
All right, so let's just say now, Taika Waititi's movie comes out Friday, right? They're probably going to do a screening Thursday night at Celebration.
I am not
if
saying
Celebration
they're not
is
going
lining up with the release of one of their properties that happens to be Star Wars related. Never mind.
100% they moved the date of the premiere, thinking originally they probably were like, oh, we'll just do it here before Celebration. And then someone in some meeting somewhere went, well, why aren't we doing it during Celebration? And someone went, you know what? We can do that. And they moved it.
What's the first day of Celebration?
Thursday.
The day before it comes out.
They knew when Celebration was, though.
Stuff changes all the time.
I'm actually, who knows how, well, you're probably right. The Obi-Wan thing probably did get locked in as far as the date after Celebration was locked in for a date, but you never know when it comes to that stuff, like how long in advance something has been locked down. But anyway, I guess we're way off the topic. We don't know that they're doing a screening, so don't think that. We're just kind of assuming that makes sense based on the pushback. We're trying to make sense of that pushback, but we do have one other quick thing that we wanted to mention before we get out of Resistance Report and move on to the pod race. You may have seen recently Troy Kotsur winning Best Supporting Actor recently at the Oscars. Now, he is the second deaf person to win an Academy Award, and it was quite a big deal that this particular movie he was involved in it pushes the deaf community and all this stuff. And it's really interesting because if you don't particularly know that name or you hadn't put something together, he has a Star Wars connection, a pretty good one, as he has been involved in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, as he has played a Tuscan Raider and helped to develop the Tuscan Raider sign language, like their own language based on signs, which I'm not I don't know the details of how that works, how it's different than I'm assuming ASL is what he speaks in, but it's just kind of an interesting thing to see that, you know, congratulations to him on winning Best Supporting Actor and moving that forward. But, you know, if you don't know a lot about this connection with Star Wars, just, you know, go check it out, go learn a little bit more. I know now I watched a video of his where he became an honorary 501st because they presented him the award in sign language as Tuscan Raiders. It was pretty cool. So, so yeah, congratulations to Troy Kotsur, and yeah, that's it. From Resistance Report, let's move on to the next section. I'm tossing it over to you, Lacey.
All right, guys, it's time for the Patreon pod race. So there are lots of ways you can support us. You can like, comment, subscribe here on YouTube. You can listen and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Make sure to leave us a review. It means so much to us and it lets people see the show. We show up in searches and stuff. So thank you for that. You can follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN or on Instagram at The Resistance Broadcast. But if you want more than that and you want to support the show and what we're doing here, you can head over to patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. Starting at just $2 a month, you get access to the page and all the extra content that we create. And as you go up in the ranks, you get more access. So voting into polls, you get to decide what we talk about. You get to be a part of our exclusive Discord server, which is really great. It's an awesome community that's literally talking all the time. So if you want a really fun place to hang out, that is definitely the place to be. But yeah, so this is the part of the show that we let our generals and our spice runners, our two top tiers, be a part of the show. So before I get to that, I'm going to say thank you to those people. So thank you to our generals: Carmelo, Jeremy Myers, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Paul Olson, Frank Grande, Darth Hurricane, John Charlton, Nick Kratz, Christian Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, Danny, Mike Ramori, Matt Heath, Double C Chris White, Brendan McLaughlin, got it this time, and Val Churchkoff. Thank you guys so much. And then to our Spice Runners: David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gelnar, Ryan Wara, Dave Hornack, Micah Harrison, Thomas Hennessy, and Andrew Staley. Thank you guys so much for keeping it spicy.
Thank you.
So this week we have Jeremy, one of our longest running generals. Jeremy, what up? And we asked him, Kathleen Kennedy said Obi-Wan and Vader will have a rematch in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. We know both survive, but who do you think will come out on top of that duel? Who do you think will be, or do you think will be a stalemate? So Jeremy, take it away.
Hey, what's up, guys? Long time no talk. Hope you've all been well. I don't know, kind of confused on this one because for so long, after episode 4, we thought that was the first time that they had met since episode 3, which was newer, and so we figured that the battle ended there, and that's where Vader was left and became who he was. But I'm kind of thinking it's gonna lean on the lines of a stalemate. Something's gonna happen to get in way of the fight that's going to take place, or somebody's going to interject, or one's going to escape, because we know that in 4 they meet up for the final battle. But yeah, that's just my thoughts. I'm pretty convinced it's going to be a stalemate in some regards. I don't think any clear-cut winner in the battle. Maybe some battle scars, but that's about it. Can't wait to see you guys at Celebration. Hope you're all well. See you.
Interesting, Jeremy. Very interesting answer. John, what did you think?
I'm right there with you, Jeremy. I think a stalemate makes the most sense, but the idea that neither one is coming out of it the way they went in a sense. There's going to be different varying levels of damage, whether it's emotional or quite literally physical. But yeah, I think something goes down to split them up, and it's because we know they both survive, and they need to figure out how to make that work and not make it ridiculous. Like, are you tired? Yeah, I'm tired too. All right, we'll see you in 10 years. So I think you're right. I think you're spot on. More importantly, the reminder that you're going to be at Celebration. And it's funny, I tweeted a photo of us with Neil Lowry and from Celebration. And you're in the background of it, I think on your phone or doing something. And it's just like, man, we met you in person 3 years ago, and you're still with us. And I think that might have been early on when you got to know us. So here we are, coming full circle, and we're going to get to hang out again. So I'm really excited about that, man. Look forward to seeing you. It's not going to be too far off. So by the time your next pod race is up, we're going to have hung out. So thanks for all your support. Good answer, and see you soon.
James?
Yep. Yeah, totally. So excited that you were able to do the pod race, came on, gave your opinion. I think to kind of go with what you're saying and to kind of go against it, I think obviously we know that something's going to happen where they get broken up, right? I think both of these characters at this point, possibly, I mean, maybe things change, but I think they're both out to kill. So no one wins this fight because, Darth Vader's going to kill Kenobi if he can, so obviously something's going to happen where the fight gets ceased. But in my opinion, I think hands down, no way Vader is going to win that fight. I think, Kenobi's going to get saved. He's going to get pulled away or something like that, or he's going to run away. He's going to survive. But I think with Vader having lost on Mustafar, and theoretically Vader also losing on the Death Star, I think this is their opportunity to be like, prime Vader, he's a threat. Obi-Wan's scared. Obi-Wan thinks he can turn him. No, he can't. That guy's gone. That's a demon. That, he's evil incarnate, and he's going to win that fight, and it's going to scare the heck out of Kenobi. So I think Vader wins these fights if there's more than one. I think he's just like every time it's going to be a bloodbath. But that's just my thoughts, and I don't know, but I appreciate you coming on the show, and as always being a supporter of our little podcast here that we do. Thanks.
Jeremy, great answer. I think, as Star Wars fans, especially fans of the original trilogy like we all are, there's like always questions, and John brings them up a lot of like, how is this going to work with these lines that have been said or these moments that have happened? How are they going to make this work? And I think they definitely probably figured it out. So I'm not worried about that. But you can't help but wonder, like, when they finally meet up, what will happen? Or will they meet up multiple times? Will we see them multiple times?
Never thought I'd see you here.
Yeah. Like Rey, I go back to like Rey and Kylo where they meet up a couple times and then they never really have a big battle at certain points until the very end. I think I agree completely with James. I don't think you can leave this fight scenario where Vader isn't winning, so to speak, because he's like the Kylo of the sequel trilogy where he never really won. So you're like, how bad is he? How bad of a bad guy is he if he always gets defeated by certain people? But I think Vader, if we're going into the Vader we're going to see in Rogue One, like, you have to assume that, yeah, he's a bad guy. He's probably going to have his moments where he's like a little vulnerable, but I still think that we're going to see him do things that we're like, oh my God. Like, I'd love to see him stop a blaster bolt because we first saw that with Kylo.
Oh,
so I'd love to see them do it with Vader. So because we didn't even know that was possible until Kylo did it.
Or they just like one up him and it's like 12 blaster bolts.
Yeah,
like,
something crazy, like the Matrix,
like hovering around him or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
that'd be nuts. But yeah, thank you for your answer. We love having you on the show. We can't wait to see you at Celebration again. And I'm sure you're going to Star Wars night, so that's gonna be fun too. Back to you, John.
I bet Kylo Ren counts all of his as like wins. He's like, I beat Han Solo. I beat that FN 2187 guy. So, although I credit him as winning the duel against Rey on the Death Star in episode 9. He had her dead to rights.
Yeah, like she ultimately stabbed him, but it was because of Leia.
His mom.
Yeah,
I agree, but I'm saying
done.
like every other fight leading up to that point.
Oh, yes.
That was the discussion going into is like, we have to have Kylo win
at least once. Yeah. But then he ultimately does lose.
Yeah. Real quick, this is just something that popped into my head when I was thinking about, Anakin and, what he could do with Obi-Wan. Do you think there's any chance, before we get out of here, I know we got to go in a minute, that we could see Vader using his lightsaber and then his old blue lightsaber? Vader with 2 lightsabers?
But Kenobi has that. Doesn't he have that lightsaber?
But he's going to go confront him. And, in that poster, someone says he's holding a lightsaber and people said it looks like Anakin's. That would be a huge thing to have Vader using his old lightsaber and his new lightsaber.
I guess. I don't see that happening, but I understand what you're saying.
And imagine like Hayden doing the same moves he did versus Dooku when he had the 2 lightsabers. I don't know. It could be cool. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
I'm just saying Kenobi used it because then he's fighting against his old lightsaber.
I think that'd be like not the Kenobi way. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I have a feeling like if Vader was holding the blue lightsaber, it wouldn't feel right.
It tarnishes what happens with Rey in The Force Awakens.
I don't doubt that it would be cool. Yeah, but I'm having a hard time picturing it as a sell because I mean it does make me feel like that's them being like the tie with the old Anakin, but I don't know. Something does feel a little off with it. Like I'm having
only
a real hard
did
time
the whole,
picturing Vader holding a blue lightsaber. It just doesn't compute.
But the whole "it calls to you" thing would then be erased if they did that because there's no way the lightsaber would go to him because
he just picks it up.
He just picks it up. Yeah, I don't think John's like saying like.
But remember, Kylo and Rey
you can't catch me. I'm over here.
Okay, first of all, John, Rey and Kylo both try to grab it. And it chooses Rey. Like, they made that decision with the lightsaber. So I'm saying if it's a scenario where he's picking it up, sure. If it's a scenario where he's, like, trying to grab it or something from Obi-Wan, I don't see that happening because it erases what they've said.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's blurred lines with that stuff. Like, the lightsaber calling to someone is one thing, but also I think someone powerful enough can also make a lightsaber come to them anyway.
I mean, Kylo is pretty powerful.
Yeah. But we'll see. I think I just said
the prophetic chosen one, though.
Yeah,
and that's his lightsaber. It's Anakin's lightsaber, and it's like he's like, "This is mine." Yeah,
dare you? It's like my son with his toys. You cannot play with. It's mine. All right. So I want to thank everybody for listening and watching and being a part of TRB. Like Lacey said, make sure you subscribe on your preferred platform, whether that's audio or video. StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of your latest Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. You can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, and writing and editing at StarWarsNewsNet.com. And we just put out an episode on The Godfather on my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies, available free also on your favorite podcast apps. James.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, both at Myra Trunks.
Indeed. Lacey.
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin and check out my review for Lego Star Wars, The Skywalker Saga. I got to play it early.
I'm going to get that game.
So definitely check out my review, which is up today.
Sweat. Yes. Should I get it, Lacey? Is it good?
It's amazing. It's excellent. I said that when they showed me a hands-off preview. So
yeah,
you can only imagine how much better it is when I'm actually able to play it.
Excellente. Yeah. All right. We'll be back on Thursday. Tease it a little bit earlier, but we're going to speculate a bit on the Lando series and maybe some familiar faces we could hopefully see pop up in that one. But we hope you enjoy your weeks, and happy April to all, and we will see you next time right here on the Resistance broadcast. See you around, kids.